Hello, my name's Adam, and welcome to the Prop Shop, where I'm going to show you how I turn pieces of foam just like this into crazy awesome props just like this one. Let's get to it. So today we're going to be making the villain Overhaul's Plague Doctor mask from My Hero Academia. I really enjoy the steampunk elements it has in it, with the gears, the rivets, and the gold trim, and he's by far one of my favorite villains. So I'm going to start off by tracing that pattern onto some 10mm EVA craft foam I picked up from my local Michael store. Now the pattern itself is kind of what I imagine the mask would look like, split up into 3 separate pieces. You have the right side, the left side, and the bottom side. While I'm tracing the pattern, I'm putting little notches into each side of them, and these are called registration marks. The registration marks are really going to help us line up the mask and make everything look straight in the very end. All the details that are going to be done on the mask are going to be done onto some 6mm EVA craft foam. We're going to work. This is our nose piece, along with the trim and the gears that are going to sit on the side of our mask. This is all going to be traced and cut out of 6mm craft foam. Now the nose piece and the trim are going to be fairly simple to cut out, just because they're pretty basic shapes. But when it comes to the gears, it is going to be a little more complex. Now with a sharpened brass tube, I'm going to punch a hole almost all the way through my EVA foam. This is going to give me a great idea of where I need to start my pattern for my gears. Next, from that hole, I'm going to measure out a 1/4 inch on each side in a star pattern to kind of get the basic shape of the gears. So now that we have everything traced, it's time to cut it all out. One of these. Or these. Dealer's choice. It's up to you. Now starting off with the bulk of our pattern, we're going to cut out everything on a slight bevel. This is really going to help the pattern all come to make the kind of beak looking shape that it's going to end up being at the very end. And I'm cutting out the rest of it to make it a little bit more easier to handle when we go to cut the little round edges right out. Now cutting out the detail on the back is basically where the straps are going to sit on the back of the mask. Next, what we have to do is the rivets. We're going to use a sharpened PVC pipe to punch the holes through some 10mm foam, and that's going to be the only thing we have to do. Now to glue. Now using that same sharpened brass tube we used in the beginning, we're going to use it to punch a hole the rest of the way through the gears. Alright, now that we have everything cut out, we can go ahead and glue it all down with some contact cement. This bottle took a little bit of tumble, but that's fine. I bandaged them up pretty good. I mean, they're only $1. I should probably get a new one. But I like this one. Anyway, let's do this. Now with the contact cement, you want to apply some of the glue to one side of something, and some of the glue to another side of whatever else you want to stick together. Now you're going to give it a little bit of time to dry, just to attack. But we're going to use a piece of craft foam to smooth it out today, so it's really not going to take that long. If you're working in a colder setting, it might take a little bit longer than usual. Now lining up our registration marks, or the little notches we made when we traced the pattern onto the foam, we're going to carefully line those up and start sticking everything together. Now just remember, when you start touching the glue together, there is no turning back. As soon as it's down with any real type of force, it's down for good. Now we're going to trace the detail pieces onto the base of the mask. This is going to give us a good idea of where we actually need to put down the contact cement so there's not too much leakage. Now any leakage could potentially show up on the final paint job of the mask, so we really don't want that to have happen. After that, we got the bridge of the nose and the 2 trim pieces that were on the side of the mask, just kind of tracing them by hand. Now the rest is kind of just like sticking the corners of the mask all together. Contact cement, smooth it out, wait a little bit, stick it down. Also, I'm a little bit impatient, so to speed up a little bit of the drying process, I use the hairdryer. Now that we have everything all glued down, we're going to go in with the rotary tool and round out all the edges right here, and right down in the middle of the nose piece right here. Now this is supposed to resemble some gold stitching on the mask, and after we put some wood burning details into it, it's really going to pop. But for right now, we're not going to glue down the gears or punch the holes through it either. This is just to make sure this doesn't get in the way, and I really don't want to have to ding those things up if I don't have to. So we're just going to go ahead and do that and take care of that right now. Now we're just going to go in here and bevel the sides a little bit to give it more of a rounded shape. You'll see why when we get into the wood burning process. Now that we have everything all rounded out, it's time to go ahead and etch some details with our wood burner. Now just be careful with this tool, it does get very hot. It's actually supposed to carve detail into wood. We're going to go carve detail into foam. Kind of the same thing, but not really. I honestly probably shouldn't even be waving this around or anything like that, but let's go. Now I can't stress this enough, please be careful when using a wood burner if you choose to do so. There's plenty of different ways to do it, this is just how I'm doing it. Now, there is no real actual spacing I'm using, I'm just kind of eyeballing it right now. Yeah, that kind of gives it a little bit more of a handmade feel to it, so it's kind of what I like to go with. Again, no real measurements here, just kind of eyeballing it. Now we're going to use our good old friend, Mr. Sharpened Brass Tube, to punch some holes for the gears. This is exactly where the gears are going to sit, and don't forget to keep these pieces because we're going to use them later. Now we're going to go ahead and use our contact cement to glue down the rest of the gears and the little nubs that we just kind of punched out with the Sharpened Brass Tube. Now it's kind of self-explanatory where these pieces go. Little nubs go on the back, gears go right over the holes. Alright, now everything's starting to come together. Now we have all of our detail work, our gears, and everything else all put together. It's actually starting to look like a mask. Now what we're going to do next, right before we go ahead and start painting, is we're going to seal the whole thing up with a little bit of heat. We're going to hit it with some black plasti-dip, and then it's on to painting. Using my heat gun in a high setting, we're going to run it all over the foam. This is going to give it a more of a desirable texture. You're not going to be able to see it in the camera, but you can take my word for it. Now it's also going to really help the paint stick a little bit better to the prop too. Next, using some plasti-dip, we're going to go ahead and cover the entire prop with foam. This is more like a rubberized vinyl that's going to make it a little bit more durable. We are going to do many coats, so be patient with it. Don't add too much at one time so it'll pull anywhere that you add too much of the plasti-dip to. So now we've given it time to dry. I had 3 coats of plasti-dip to the entire mask. Now, we're going to go ahead and paint. This is going to have 3 different colors to it. It's going to have red, gold, and the black, just for the back of the mask. Now, we're going to hit it with the red base just to start off with, mask off a little bit of the area, go in with some gold, black at the very end. And then after that, we're going to add some straps. Let's get to it. Now that we have the base coat of the red down, we're going to start with our gold spray paint. That's going to take care of the nose piece, the rivets, gears, and the rest of the trim piece. It's basically all the details we have on here. The back of this is going to be black. We'll take care of that in just a minute. This is going to require me to mask a lot of these areas off. I could hand paint it, but I don't want to. I have gold spray paint, and it just seems easy. Masking for me is pretty easy, and I'll show you how to do it. Alright, it worked. Alright, now we're going to put some gold on here. Let's try that again. Sweet, worked again. Alright, you know what? 3rd time's a charm, right? Oh, that worked again. Alright, now we're going to peel back all of the tape to reveal all of our hard work. This is the best part. I'm going to come back at you with the rest of it. Now I've taken all the masking tape off, it's going to go ahead and reveal all of the hard work we do. Top, bottom, and everything. Now it's starting to look really, really good. Now we have a few more steps to go before it comes all together. Now we just have to weather it, clear coat it to protect all the paint job that we have, and then put some straps on so we can actually wear it. See, not quite. But we're in the home stretch, so let's go do this. Now for the final touches on our mask, we're going to go with the straps first. We're going to cut these out to a predetermined length, kind of like 9 inches on one side, and then we're going to use, let's just cut 11 inches on the other side. Then attach them with backpack straps, because that's probably going to be the easiest way to strap it to your head. We're going to go ahead and weave the 9-inch strap through the backpack strap and glue it all together. Now we're going to go ahead and score lines into the inside of the mask. This is going to give the hot glue a little bit of something to grab onto when it's glued down. So it'll give you a little bit of stronger hold. After that, slide on the straps. Now we're going to go ahead with weathering. I'm going to use a little bit of brown acrylic paint and black acrylic paint. After I mix it all up, add a little bit of water, and then we're going to cover the entire mask itself. We're going to wipe a good majority of it away. You can use a paper towel, a rag, something you don't mind getting really dirty, or just kind of tossing at the very end. But we're going to wipe a lot of it away. After that, go ahead and seal up our paint job with some Priline clear coat. This is going to give it a little bit of a shine to it, along with just protecting everything we just did. I will be putting a list in the description box below of all the materials I used throughout this build. And please feel free to subscribe, as this is not going to be my last build. And there you have it, Overhaul's mask from My Hero Academia. Now, I had a lot of fun with this build, and I really enjoyed all the techniques that made this mask come together in the very end. Now, you could wear this mask to a anime meetup, local convention for My Hero Academia, or just like a Comic-Con. But for me, I'm gonna get some groceries. Let's see how many heads I can turn. I'll catch you in the next build.